everybody. Today we're in Idaho, actually, and I am on the western side of Yellowstone National Park, and actually part of this trip that I was on went through the park. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, if this particular video is part of that, where it's inside the park or outside, but I know it's awful close, and I know that this road went through the park, so you'll have to decide that on your own. In any event, the mountains that are over to the left side of this video are definitely in Yellowstone. There was maybe 50 miles of this trip that was in, part of it was in Montana, part of it was in Wyoming, and most of it was in Idaho, where the actual Yellowstone National Park is in all three of those states, which I did not know. So this is a new one. Anyway, it is beautiful. I believe the flat white that you see to the white here is a big lake, but I may be mistaken on that because everything is frozen over right now. The reason I'm saying it's a lake is because I saw something that resembled a campground up here, and they had a lot of boats that were around it. Some of them were small sailboats, so I'm assuming that that flat white area to the left here is a big lake. One of the things I told you, I wanted to start telling you stories, and one of the things that I wanted to tell you, and there's a rhyme to the reason for this, or a reason to the rhyme, however you want to say that. When I was a young boy growing up, my daddy had, he got married real young. Him and Mama got married at 16. World War II broke out shortly thereafter, and he went into the Navy and spent his time in the Navy. And after the war, then he came back home and had my brother, and then 12 years later I came along. But my dad, as he got older, would have this deal. He would be the nicest, most kindest, and caring father that you could ever meet. He would spend time with me and my brother and do things and take us fishing, take us camping. We were all real family oriented with, my dad was one of 9 children. My mother was one of 13. So I had a lot of aunts and uncles and first cousins, and we were always doing something with part of the family. But Daddy would mysteriously go, just kind of like flipping a switch, would go from the nicest, kindest, most caring father you'd ever met to one of the most hateful. He'd snatch me up and whip me with a belt, draw whelps on me. He would whip me so hard for some of the slightest things that I would do wrong. And all through the older I got, the more I resented that, and the more I didn't want to be around them. And just because of that, I mean, when he was nice, he was really nice, but when he was mean, he was really mean. And it had absolutely nothing to do with alcohol. I've heard of alcoholics doing this sort of thing, where they get drunk and they, all of a sudden, their whole personality changes, and they'll take it out on their family. This had nothing to do with that. So after I got married and moved away, I got married at a young age, and to be honest with you, my real reasoning for doing so was to get away from him. I had had all I could stand of it. After that happened, and after it was just him and Mom, he would never take this out on Mom. But Mama got to noticing that Daddy would do real fine until he had something with sugar in it. And it could be something like one of those peppermint candy mints. It could be a cookie, just one cookie, or a piece of pie after dessert. She got to noticing and putting 2 and 2 together that if he had anything with sugar in it, his whole personality changes. And of course, once they figured out that he was a borderline diabetic, and they started treating him for that and keeping him away from sugar, he became the most nicest, kindest person that you would ever meet. And for his last 30 years of life, he was absolutely one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. My trainer, whenever I was going through, after I had gone through my CDL school and I got my license, my trainer exhibited the exact same personality character traits. My wife would send, whenever I got in the truck with him, my wife sent a bag of butterscotch candy and a bag of peppermint candy with me to share with my trainer, being we were going to be in the truck together. And this same sort of thing would go on. And come to find out, after talking to him, he too was a borderline diabetic. And one of the problems that I had with my training and during the training was this big sweeps in personality traits. One minute we'd be getting along fine, and the next minute, had it been any other circumstances and I was not kind of under their control, to either I went through their training and became a truck driver, or I got out of the truck and forgot about becoming a truck driver. That was my choices. So I had to live with it. I talked to him about it when he was in his normal state, his calm and demeanor, and talking at a normal level. And then whenever he would get to yelling and whatever, I'd bring this up to him and say, see there, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And you just had one of my peppermint candies. So this is what it is. It's sugar that's doing this to you. And, I would ask him point blank, hey man, are you taking this out on your family? Do you do your family like this as well? And he finally admitted, well, yeah, my wife and my children tell me that I get real loud and obnoxious at times. And I go, man, you're past obnoxious. You're to the point of there being a real problem here. But anyway, I got through my training and got out on my own. And at that particular time, they kept me in the truck with him for 2 months, 8 weeks. To tell you the truth, I learned everything that I could learn from him in about the first week. The other 7 weeks of that was just pure torture, just to endure that. I didn't know how much of that I could actually talk to the people in the office about, or any of my driver managers or anything. I didn't know, just being new to the company. And this guy had been there since the inception of the company. He had been with them for 15 years at the time, and I didn't want to get him in trouble, but I did everything I could to let them know, hey, there's a problem here. And they all knew there was a problem. They just didn't know what the problem was. It wasn't just me. I wasn't the first one to have had problems with this guy. But it's sugar. It's sugar related. If you have a loved one that goes through big changes like this, one minute they're Mr. Nice Guy, and the next minute they're the most hateful person you could ever be around, and abusive and just obnoxious is not the word for it. Please have them tested for diabetes, or at least be in a borderline. They don't want to be this way. Daddy would always realize after he came back down off of the sugar rush, he would realize that he had done wrong, and sometimes he would come and try to apologize, But I didn't want to hear it at the time. I just, Mama would come and try to smooth it over, and I didn't want to hear anything from her either, because I knew it would happen again. And anyway, my teenage years, the older I got, the less I was wanting to put up with this kind of nonsense. And it finally got to the point to where I was the same size as my daddy, and if he wanted to pick a fight, then I was big enough and strong enough I could fight him back, and he would find other ways to verbally abuse me rather than physical. But it never changed. The result is still the same. So if you have a loved one that is exhibiting those characteristics, please have them tested for diabetes. It can make a world of difference in your relationship with that particular person. I promise you, it'll make a world of difference. The last 30 years, me and my dad got along real well. I would do anything for him. He would do anything for me. He tried to apologize to me, but you know, if it's a medical condition that causes things like this, there's really no need to apologize. It's something that you had no control over. Now that I'm an adult, and after I got to be an adult and out on my own, I realize this. So apologies really were not necessary, but it could not make up for the time of my teenage years that was not a real pleasant time. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little trip here through Yellowstone. You can see that the roads are mostly clear. However, there are some snowy and icy parts, and right here at the end of this video, you'll see where it was real kind of questionable. But I would always slow down and make sure I had good traction. I actually had people in a car that were following along behind me, and they realized that I was driving safely, and they didn't try to push me or run up on my bumper, or when I would slow down, they would slow down. They knew that I was doing it to try to be a safe reason, and they were also pulling a trailer that had ski mobiles on it. So eventually they passed me, but you see this right here, when the road turns white like this, you never know if it's icy or if it's just snow or whatever. But I do the best I can. But you can see it gets a little bit iffy here, and especially on the curves. I slow way down and take it nice and easy going around these curves. I don't want to lose control. Just taking it real easy going around here. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you are a driver and you are not happy with where you're at, Crete they're not the perfect company, I promise you, but they do pay good. You'll make a lot of money with Crete. You'll stay busy. You'll make all that you can make with Crete. They're one of the top payers. And if you would like to have a coach along the way, I would appreciate it if you would give them my name whenever you go through orientation or you talk to a recruiter. And my name is Ken Hodges. My driver code is HODKE. Give them my name and number. As soon as I see that you have joined the company, of course, I'll get a recruiting bonus for that. And as soon as I see that bonus, I promise you I'll call you and reach out to you, and you'll have my telephone number, and you will have a contact in the company that will help you negotiate and get by all of this. Thanks again.